Hi, and welcome to MTOP's continuing series on community boards and information on land use issues. Today, we're delving into a little bit deeper into the significance of a community board's vote. We've already kind of covered the land use process, and we'll do that again just to remind folks of this. But today, we're really looking at why the choices of a community board's advisory vote is important, as well as we're going to start just the beginning conversation of Eric Adams' city charter revision that he's proposing now that will also affect a lot of things moving forward regarding rezoning applications. So in private applications, most of the rezonings have to go through what you call a uniform land use review procedure. That's 7 months. The first step is to file an application with the Department of City Planning, but also at the same time, these applicants have to kind of get permission from the city council person. So normally they'll go to the city council person, see if the city council person is in agreement with this rezoning application because of what is known as city council deference. And this is a process or a policy. It's not even a law. It's a policy in which the local city council person has the final say over a rezoning application in their district, and the rest of the city council will support them on that position. So whatever position they take, the council will take the same position, which is binding and final. So after the first step and kind of clearing some hurdles, the second step is for the application itself to be certified. And then the third step is what you call the public review process. And so in that process called the ULURP process, the first thing that happens is that the community gets an opportunity to know that an application is about to be certified within 30 days. Now, this was as a result of a city charter change that happened in 2019, because a lot of the stakeholders were saying that once an application is certified by the Department of City Planning, it's almost impossible to sit there and make any significant changes to the application, which is true. So they said, okay, well, we're going to give you 30 days. And what we did, we took advantage of that 30 days. And a year later, we filed a lawsuit when we were notified that the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens development of 480 feet towers were about to be planned. And as a result of that lawsuit, the Department of City Planning did not certify that application. And we wind up winning just from that 30-day notice. So it was important. It's an important thing to know that. After the Department of City Planning certifies, after the 30 days, certifies the application, then the next step is to come to the community board. And sometimes developers don't even bother with even communicating with the community board because they know that the vote is just advisory. However, but they will do an official presentation at the borough president's office, whose vote is also advisory. So these are the two advisory components to the land use review process. The thing about the community board, however, is that they have 4 choices when it comes to voting on an application. They can approve, they can disapprove, they can approve with modifications and conditions, or they can disapprove with modifications and conditions. Now, our local borough president came to our community board complaining that we've been saying too many no's. He doesn't want any no's. He wants no with conditions. And even though the conditions are never really considered, because remember, like we said, all of the deals were already finalized before the application was certified, he wants this. And he's insisting that this happens. Now, of course, they'll tell you, oh, well, the reason why we want it is we want to know what your issues are. And that's fine, but you could do that with an explanation. You don't have to do that with a vote. And so why is that vote so important? Well, let's go ahead and look at that. Okay. Well, the next issue, the issue is what happens with that vote, right? You have a no with conditions, a yes, and a yes with conditions. And now your vote gets to the city planning commission. Now these are the votes that matter, right? And according to, the city charter, chapter 8, article 195A, section D, the Department of City Planning Commission can only consider yes with conditions, or no. So what happens to your no with conditions? Well, it kind of gets distorted into a yes with conditions. And so it becomes this, well, the community board would have really approved these applications if we had met some of these conditions. Now, of course, they don't pay any attention to the conditions. They don't in any way try to ensure that the conditions are met. But this is a political cover for them to kind of sort of say that the community board really was in support of that. But if we just tweak this application a little bit, they would have given their support. Most intelligent community boards just outright say no, right? Because they know that to say no with conditions just means that eventually down the political line, it will be considered yes with conditions. And also they're concerned about setting that as a precedent, right? So one of the issues is, will this be the precedent? Will community boards now just be saying no with conditions and really removing that powerful no vote? It also shows that politicians have power over the community boards, because if a community board had been voting no and all of a sudden, the politicians say, we don't want to know, we want no with conditions, it kind of shows the real estate industry, wow, that politician has a lot of power over that community board, and we're going to keep supporting that politician. And then it also helps with the outside, where developers can say, well, the local community board really, supported us. They just had a few things that they just didn't like, and yet we tried our best to appease them. But they liked our application. So it kind of gives some political cover to them. So that is the issue of voting. So please, when you are considering as a community board that vote, remember that the no is the strongest. It really sends a message that you did not like it. You can always add an explanation of why you didn't like it. But that no with condition always gets watered down and it weakens your stance on it. So what is going on with the city charter? Well, the city charter is trying to change all of that. It's trying to change this whole ULURP process. And so, just as some community boards are just realizing the importance of their votes, and a lot of them don't know, right? Or are influenced by the political environment, the politicians around them. The department, Mayor Eric Adams is doing a city charter revision that will basically undo this entire land use review process for how applications are processed by private developers. 3 years ago, when Eric Adams came into office, he formed a citizen budget commission. And they sat down and they decided, oh, well, what could be some of the changes that we could do to the land use review process? Because the developers have been complaining that, oh, it takes too long, they got to negotiate with too many people, they have to, and in the back of their minds, they have to pay off too many entities. By the time you pay off the city council member or the community board chair or, this agency that's doing a report or, and the mayor, money is kind of dwindling out of their hands. And of course, they want to kind of curb as much money and stop that. So one of the things was, these are some of the ideas that came from that budget commission. One was to remove the community boards from the ULURP process altogether, Like, just remove the community aspect. You don't have to do the 2-month review. They don't have to see it. They, it's not important. And the rationale was that's because community board members are ignorant. They just don't know anything about zoning. They don't know the importance of it. They don't know the laws around it. And because they're ignorant, why are we even going through this process? And remember, a lot of applications, the developers don't even bother coming to the community board to do a presentation. So they just have a disrespect for the community board. So now they just want to finalize that disrespect and just say, hey, we just don't want to be bothered with you guys. You're wasting our time. So let's remove those 2 months of review, and then we'll just have 5 months. The next thing is, the other idea was, well, just let the borough presidents vote, right? They're the ones, the borough presidents are the ones who actually appoint the community board members. So because they appoint them, they can speak for them, right? Why not? Speak for your community board, especially because the borough presidents have planners. They're supposed to be more intelligent. They're supposed to be more knowledgeable. And this will help to, break up the NIMBYism, like not in my backyard, of specific community boards. Now, what we know is our borough president in Brooklyn, Reynoso, he went to a public hearing on the city of Yes, where his, a majority of his boards, right? There's 18, he has 18. A majority of them stated no, they did not support the city of Yes and a lot of their initiatives. He said he was ignoring them. And he quoted, and I will quote, "I don't listen to community boards because they're made up of homeowners and rent-stabilized tenants." So this is the political environment that they want borough presidents to now speak for community boards. Well, we actually have borough presidents making public testimony that they don't listen to us anyway. So just to hold on to that thought. The other idea was to place the community board's input before the ULURP application. During that time when the deals are all being done between the city council person, the mayor, and the Department of City Planning, let the community board be a part of that process, right? They, and they say, and what will happen, it will remove that 2-month requirement, that the community has to review. It would give the community board power to, influence, the application. However, the problem with that is that the application is just still being formed, right? There is nothing in writing where, the details of the application are finalized. So you could be sitting at this table and saying you want this, and they could be saying to you, oh, don't worry, we're going to give it to you. We're going to give it to you. And then once they certify the application, you've been removed, right? The community board portion has been removed. And here they didn't incorporate anything that you wanted and didn't keep any promises because they don't have to. So really what it will do is basically eliminate the community board's position of being able to hold hearings with the public, to be able to voice their concerns about a project, and also to put political pressure on your city council because you're no longer in the process. It's no longer coming to you. So, and the last proposal, which is probably the most dangerous proposal, which will definitely be considered underneath the city charter revision, is to eliminate the city council deference. Remember, the city council deference is not a law. It is just a policy practice. It's not written anywhere. It's just the way in which the city council handles themselves. So the way that they would get around that process is by making some laws that said, if the city council said no to an application, then there are ways around that the developers can get around that city council vote and be able to challenge the vote and do some other things that will make it successful, like letting the mayor make the decision, which would completely eliminate the community board, the local community board, as well as the city council. Now, let's remember one other thing. Every application that is certified by the Department of City Planning, right, who's controlled by the mayor, remember, let's be clear who controls this agency, has a 99.9% chance of entering into law. So once all those backroom deals are done and that application is certified, it has a tremendous amount of possibility of becoming law. I mean, 99.9%. The problem that developers have is that there's some applications that never get that far because they have not met the needs of the local council person or the local community. And so they want to now eliminate that resistance and then wind up with almost, a lot more applications being voted in by yes by the mayor, and now almost have 100% approval rate. So the next question is, what can you do? Well, there's a lot of things you can do. One, you could just make sure your community board is voting a straight no. And if the politicians want to know why, then give them explanations why. But keep that vote strong. The next thing is investigate the times that your board, your community board, gave conditions and find if any of those conditions were met during the final product. You can see the rezoning results after it has been approved by the city council. Just ask for it and see. The other thing is follow the mayor's city charter revision hearings. This is happening in every borough. It's starting in Brooklyn. And anyone from any borough can go to any borough to testify, but it's always nice to go to the one in your borough. This one is happening on Tuesday, February the 11th, between 5 and 8 p.m. And it's happening downtown Brooklyn. So do think about it. It's happening at 9 Metro Tech Center. It's on a first come, first served basis. Politicians always jump the line. You normally have 3 minutes. But be careful, because people like me, when I go early, I get put 3 hours later. So they do play with that list, but it's still worth the time to go and speak your piece. Start to educate people about these voting practices, and the community board votes and how important these votes are. And definitely about the city charter reforms. We're going to be doing a series of videos. Please make sure you're showing them and passing them around to educate people, and definitely try to get the community to vote no. Remember, the city charter reforms do not have to have the approval of the city council. It has to have the approval of the voters, and the voters have to vote on that. Now, that's the good thing. The negative thing is that most of the time they get passed because most people don't know about what's happening. They get a little paragraph or a couple of sentences about why the city charter reform is so great. They never tell you any of the negatives. And most people say, oh, that's a good idea, and just vote yes. Let's not let that happen. Let's make sure that people are educated, they know what these city charter reforms are going to do, and that they're voting a no. So who are we? Well, we're MTOP, the Movement to Protect the People. We're a community-based grassroots organization that's been in existence for over a decade. We're located in the Crown Heights Flatbush neighborhood. Our main focus is on rezonings and the ULURP applications and anything to do with development. We are the first community to stop a district-wide rezoning that was being pushed by our elected officials and the mayor. We filed lawsuits as pro se litigants. We also made history as the first community to be able to stop an application from being certified, which, as I had said before, has a 99.9% chance. So we were able to stop that. And so we're pretty good at these issues. Um, if you want more information about us, please just go to our website at www.mtop.org or call us 718-703-3086, and we'll be glad to help you and talk to you. We also do presentations, so we'll come out to communities and neighborhood organizations, and we educate and inform people about these issues that are facing the city. And I want to say thank you for showing up, and I look forward to seeing you at the next video. Bye.